All right, well, let's go to Brandon Johnson's campaign headquarters right now at the Marriott Marquis Chicago Ballroom. That's where we have Dana Kozlov and Chris Tye standing by.
You know, Joe, I think some of Brandon Johnson's supporters are catching on that it is tight, that they might have results or some sort of results here very soon because, boy, people have been flooding in, and people have been asking me, Chris, for weeks, you know, what do you think, Dana? And I have been saying I think it's going to be tight, but I did not think it was going to necessarily be this tight. I mean, 400 votes with 81% in.
About a half hour ago, we were saying there was kind of a lackadaisical atmosphere, folks just kind of enjoying a cocktail party atmosphere. But in the world of election night politics, nothing is redder meat than 50-50. Right. And that is what we have. And you do truly say, you have been saying it to me, you know, just in conversation. I come to you as my political Sherpa. I go,
right or wrong?
Right, mostly right. Where do you see this at? And you said, I just sense it's very, very tight. You didn't even see it this tight.
Not this tight at this point. And I'll tell you, I just spoke to one of Brandon Johnson's senior advisors a while ago who said they were hopeful and they felt a good energy all day amongst the folks that they met with. So here's a little bit of what he had to say.
We're seeing upticks in younger voters versus February 28th, and that makes us feel really good because that's a group we focused on.
Nevertheless, I looked at the numbers. Younger voters, 18 to 24, still below 4% at last count. Does that disappoint or discourage you?
Oh, not at all. I mean, the race has been tracking as almost a neck-and-neck race in most of the public polls. So even a 1%, 2% increase in turnout from a demographic that's favorable to you can make all the difference. So small changes really matter in a race this close.
And it looks like that Jason Lee might be right. Small changes can make a difference because, boy, did that race tighten up as more and more results came in.
When you're talking about a difference of 400 votes with hundreds of thousands already cast, you know, I think about back on the governor's race, this was the very room where J.B. Pritzker declared an early victory that night. Tonight, a very different tone and a very different timetable as this group might be here quite late.
Yep, and we are going to keep you apprised of when Brandon Johnson might arrive and when some of his key supporters show up here as well. But like I said, for now, this ballroom filling up. Back to you, Joe, Erica.
All right, 87% in, 50-50 in the mayor's race. Dana, Chris, thanks.
Let's head over to the Vallas campaign headquarters with our Jim Williams and Marie Saavedra standing by. Jim and Marie.
We are watching the faces turn a little bit more concerned, I would say, here in the ballroom, as Chris and Dana said, more people are finally showing up, looking at these numbers. And again, I think few thought it would be exactly this close, 370 votes to be specific, between the two candidates tonight.
There's been a feeling of optimism throughout the room since they opened up the doors here, I would say, at 6:45. But people, I don't want to say they're grim. That might be overstating it. But they are concerned, and they realize. In fact, we talked to one person who said, what do you think? Is your guy going to win? And he said, I don't know.
Yeah, a little more of a question than I think even the Vallas campaign had earlier today. They had felt very confident coming in, but they're watching those numbers. And I think that's also the reason we haven't heard much from the campaign. We've been reaching out, trying to find out some updates about how they're feeling about things. Hopefully we'll hear something within the next few minutes as we wait for more of these numbers to come in.
Meantime, we did talk to Alderman Walter Burnett of the 27th Ward. He is a Paul Vallas supporter. Let's hear what he had to say.
It's very tight. I think it's a tight race. We have to see what the mail-in ballots are going to be. I'm hoping that Paul Vallas wins just for the sake of me having less work to do. I think there's going to be, if it's Brandon Johnson, it's going to be a learning curve.
When we asked Alderman Burnett why he was supporting Paul Vallas, he said his relationship with him goes back to the time when Paul Vallas was the city budget director under Mayor Rich Daley. They worked very well together. He said, enormous cooperation from Paul Vallas, and that they cooperated and worked together when Paul Vallas was the head of the Chicago public school system.
It is that experience and these connections and these lifelong ties to Chicago and its system that runs this city that I think Vallas and his campaign were counting on, hoping would resonate with voters who are looking for some sort of change within the city of Chicago, someone who has that experience. But it seems that has possibly not played as heavy with voters as they were hoping tonight.
Meantime, the bar is open and drinks are in a lot of hands, and so we wait.
We wait. We do. Back to you.
I love that Jim's keeping a close eye on the bar.
Jim's all about the bar.
Jim and Marie, thank you.
All right, it's 8 o'clock here. Let's reset and take a look at what we have in the mayor's race. 87% reporting, and look at this. It's just gone up to 88, and Johnson has taken the lead. Wow, he's now leading by, what, just 2290. Here we go with this math.
Yeah.
Jeez.
We know it's less than 1,000.
Yes.
Less than 1,000 votes, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, no, that's actually a pretty good spread.
Than
Yeah,
1,000.
it's more.
Just
1,000
over
plus.
1,000.
So, wow, this has flipped, starting with the first numbers we got, where Vallas was up 52 to 48, roughly. It has continued to tighten up through the night, and now it has flipped with Brandon Johnson in the lead at 8 o'clock. Wow.
Let's bring our panelists back in. Well, was there a scenario where you thought that this wouldn't be a chase by Johnson following Vallas, Alderwoman?
I have always said I did not know.
Okay.
I did not know. And this is one of those that you just don't know. And I think everybody is, I've never been this nervous, not even for my own elections, that I am now, because we are on the cusp of hearing the people of Chicago say something very differently. And so I'm actually excited about it.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry,
Let's
you're going
just
to go
throw
to
one
the
more thing
field?
in here that we wanted to drop, because some of our staff in the newsroom here has done some number crunching. And tonight's race, we understand, will not be called tonight because it's too close, and here's why.
Yeah.
There are currently more than 91,000 outstanding vote by mail ballots. This is what we were talking about. How many of these are outstanding? 91,000. And based on what we saw on February 28th, we project that about 45 to 48,000 of those will be turned in still. So in February, Johnson gained 2.5% after election night. All mail-in ballots received today will be counted tomorrow. So
yes. And that's also based on, we're projecting that because in the earlier February election, it was about 100,000. So if we talk about, a lower voter turnout for the runoff, we can project that 40 to 45,000. And that's where we stand looking at those ballots. Could be a couple of weeks before we have our answer.
Well, so much for our projections here.
Well, they don't have that. They really don't have that much time.
Yeah.
Because the new council starts May 15th at 12 noon, because my term expires 11:59 a.m. May 15th, and that's by statute.
Right.
Okay.
Derrick, looking at these numbers and how they've just recently flipped, and again, this is not to suggest that Johnson will win, although he's winning now. A simple question: how did he do it?
Well, I can't say definitively, but I will say that the Johnson campaign, since the runoff, has advanced a theory. And the theory was that Paul Vallas had maxed out his vote in the runoff, that he had come close to getting as many votes as he could in the runoff, and that meant that Johnson had the potential of growing his vote much greater. Now, when I reacted to that, I said, the only thing you've told me is that Vallas got a lot more votes than Johnson did. But apparently, that theory had some validity to it. We don't know whether it has enough validity now to take him to the 5th floor of City Hall, but he has dramatically grown his vote. And I would say, from the results that we've seen, that he apparently has done a good job of consolidating the black vote, because he would not be this close at this point if he hadn't.
Well, I don't know whether that's just about the black vote. I have to go back to the primary when you're lakefront, you're progressive lakefront.
Right.
All of them voted for Brandon Johnson, where it was Lightfoot that was winning in the African-American ward. So, I still don't think that you can negate those and say, well, in this, it's because of this. But you've got people that have other choices to make now. We knew who the non-Vallas supporters were on those lakefront wards, where they were going to go. Now, did some of them switch over to Vallas? Possibly. Did some go to Johnson? Probably.
Yeah. Johnson had done well in the first round, especially in the northern lakefront wards,
Yes.
Rogers Park,
Right.
Edgewater. Vallas was thought to be performing better in the more affluent southern wards, Lakeview, Wrigleyville, Lincoln Park. But that was the first round. We don't know how it's playing out right now.
Now, if we're looking at a vote this tight, and we're talking about mail-in ballots, just historically, if you want to weigh in on this, if we're talking about the demographics that are usually going to do those mail-in ballots, the ones that are outstanding, who do you think that could favor? Derrick?
Well, again, the Johnson camp seems to think that the late mail-in ballots, the ones that are mailed late, are going to break for them. They say that they believe that they're going to have as much as a 2-to-1 advantage in those votes. I don't know. That sounds a bit overly optimistic to me, because I think that a lot of those mail-in ballots are going to come from the same votes that voted early and dominated the early voting, which is Vallas wards.
Okay.
So we'll have to see.
You know what? I mean, again, I'm not a math major, and so it's probably dangerous for me to start running numbers. But if we're at 88%, and there were 90,000 outstanding vote-by-mail ballots, that's roughly the difference that we're missing right now, right? I mean, I'm just guessing. I don't think we see this number at 88% go much higher if there are 90,000 ballots we're still voting on to come in from the mail. Because that would put us at, if we were at 500,000 votes, we'd be at 590,000, and that's more than enough. Am I crazy here? Or?
Well, I don't know whether you're crazy, but as far as your numbers go.
Yeah.
Safe answer.
No, I think it's a little bit different. You know, I think, Derrick, you were saying earlier about the people. I think the late mail-in votes are probably those that were undecided.
Okay.
Right? I'm thinking that's more. Some of your older people don't know whether they want Johnson, whether they want Vallas. You know, it could be either or, and I think those are going to be. So we don't know which way those are going to lean. I also was watching the whole week last week, the numbers changing in terms, and it was broken down by racial demographics. And the Vallas supporters were outnumbering both Hispanics and African Americans 2-to-1. So. But if that's what we saw then, what we're seeing now is something different. Those were the early votes. And so what you're seeing now are the actual votes.